Parts of the beneficiary communities, we have seen that substantial infrastructure and other water distribution facilities have been rehabilitated.
Greater promise of food sufficiency as communities take ownership of all year-round farming facility.
Remaining at the dam Zungero to Tagina, which is ongoing, which will be completed in a couple of months.
More power to the national grid. 700 megawatts Zungero hydro power plant set for unveiling. Plus, a day to say thank you for nursing individuals and communities to good health. Hello and welcome to the Network News on NTA. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Ajola Komiakere will join us from Lagos. And you can follow this newscast live on our website nt.ng/live, NT News Now on Twitter, as well as other social handles displayed on the screen. The federal government has expended more than 25 billion naira for the reconstruction and rehabilitation of dams, channels and canals under the Kano River Irrigation Scheme. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, while inaugurating the project, expressed optimism that the project holds greater promise for the nation, especially with benefiting farming communities taking ownership of the facility. Yohana Sohassan reports.
Zangom Buhari, one of the benefiting communities under the Kano River Irrigation Scheme. People of this community named it after President Muhammadu Buhari during the 80s and are lucky now to have a gigantic project executed under his leadership. The project commissioned by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo covers more than 14,000 hectares and 45,000 farmers rely on the facility for improved source of livelihood. Abubakar Yunusa has been into farming for years but finds it difficult to cultivate his farm during the dry season due to scarcity of irrigation water, but now ready to cultivate all year round. Just like Abubakar, other water users are ready to utilize the facility judiciously, thus make this promise.
We will coordinate among ourselves to ensure anybody that vandalizes the facility faces the wrath of the law.
The Governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, Minister of Water Resources Suleiman Adamu, and Emir of Rano, Ambassador Kabiru Muhammad Inuwa, commended President Muhammadu Buhari and the World Bank for bringing such a project to the doorstep of farmers.
Parts of the beneficiary communities, we have seen that substantial infrastructure and other water distribution facilities have been rehabilitated and modernized, in some cases even replaced.
The project coordinator, Transformation Irrigation Management in Nigeria Project Engineer Peter Manjok, said the project completion on schedule is a clear indication of the federal government's readiness to support farmers.
Farmers will not wait for government. They are so much organized and trained to be able to make contributions for themselves, carry out operation and maintenance by themselves.
Farmers like Abubakar believe the scheme will help them produce in excess to meet Nigeria's food requirement. In Kano, Yohana Sohassan, NTA News.
Let's talk power generation. Nigeria's drive to the attainment of stable electricity supply is in sight. This follows the completion of 700 megawatts Zungero hydroelectric power project. Abubakar Kwanga reports.
Nigeria's power infrastructure had shared similar fate with other abandoned projects for not making the priority list of past administrations. Today, this huge investment of 700 megawatt Zungero hydroelectric power plant is evidence of President Buhari's project continuity agenda, as it is set to be inaugurated soon.
The dam is completed, the powerhouse is completed, we have come to the powerhouse, they have seen the turbines, all the 4 units which we have already tested on the grid, and they are waiting for launching them finally to the grid. Remaining at the dam Zungero to Tagina, which is ongoing, which will be completed in a couple of months.
From the water to machines and down to evacuation, the entire circle has been completed, and those on legislative duties express optimism for a stable power supply from the national grid.
So it is for us to go back to the Senate and report to them that we've seen we're satisfied and the concessioning should go on unhindered so that Nigerians can get the benefit of the money that has been expended here. And with the work being done by Siemens on the expansion of the transmission, Nigerians in the next few years, I believe that the issue of the epileptic power supply will be a thing of the past.
We expect some form of irrigation to come up. We expect some form of commercial activities to increase around the area. So it is to the benefit of the community. So we must at this point appreciate President Muhammadu Buhari for ensuring that this project is completed timely.
There is a preferred bidder to operate and manage the hydroelectric power station at $70 million a year for the next 30 years for efficiency and sufficiency of clean energy in the spirit of public-private partnership arrangement.
The Zungeru Hydro Power Project is estimated to generate 2.6 billion kilowatt-hour of electricity a year, which will be close to 10% of Nigeria's total domestic energy needs. Apart from generating electricity, the project also intends to provide flood control, mitigation, as well as water supply for fish breeding facilities. From Zungeru in Niger State, I am Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
Now, updates on leadership and governance. Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima has promised to reach out to all tendencies in a contest for the leadership of the National Assembly to achieve a resentful-free assembly. He stated this at a meeting with members of Joint Task Team of the 10th Assembly. National Assembly correspondent Dayo Mushola reports.
This interaction is one of the high-level engagements between one of the groups aspiring for the leadership position of the House of Representatives in the 10th Assembly. For this group, achieving the cardinal objectives of the next government requires a harmonious relationship with the executive without compromising the independence of the National Assembly.
For the history of democracy in Nigeria, there has never been a time where you have the number one and the number two being products of the National Assembly. So we believe synergy, working in a mutually beneficial manner will be easy for us, because the language you speak is the language you speak as well.
Vice President-elect says every effort that will produce a rancor-free National Assembly must be supported. As such, a promise to reach out to other contenders.
We are talking of the stability of the nation. We are talking about inclusivity. We are talking about togetherness. Let us unite. Not for our own sake, no. For the sake of the black man. My own assignment is to reach out to all tendencies so that we shall have a rank-free assembly. As I said, there are certain engagements. I will sustain that engagement.
Members of the Joint Tax Team came from different political parties and are drawing support for Tajuddin Abbas Benjamin Kalu leadership in the House of Representatives. In Abuja, Dayo Mushola, NTA News.
The induction of senators and members-elect for Batch A has ended in Abuja with a call on participants to put into use the knowledge for effective legislative and responsive 10th National Assembly. National Assembly correspondent Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports that civil society organizations and other development partners took turns to engage members on what is expected of them as legislators.
The key issue behind the induction is to enhance knowledge of the new legislators before they commence legislative business. It is against this backdrop that development partners, civil society organizations, and the media interacted with the participants on the guiding principles to achieving the set objectives.
What is being expected from you? We know you can do it. From the reaction, we can see the quality and capacity of some of the members and senators that will be serving us. We are going through challenges, but I believe these are challenges that can be addressed by you guys.
As the Batch A induction rounded off, It is expected that members of the 10th Assembly will judiciously use the knowledge acquired for optimal utilization of the legislative proceedings.
It also gave me an orientation whereby it will help me sponsor some bills or something like that for the good governance of my country, Nigeria.
Particularly for those who are new, who are freshly elected, they need this background, they need this introductory training program to be able to understand the nuances of lawmaking, the nuances of parliament, so that they can have a good takeoff.
They have cleared the dusty areas. I think the new members are more prepared, better prepared to hit the ground running.
Senators and members-elect receive certificates of participation as the Batch B members are expected to begin their induction on Monday. In Abuja, Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
In another news, the National Broadcasting Commission says it will appeal the verdict of the Federal High Court Abuja if found to be in conflict with previous judgments of the court. In a statement, the Director General of NBC, Balabi Shehu Ilela, says the appeal will be necessary if the recent judgment of the court is inconsistent with previous judgments, which empowered the Commission to regulate broadcasting in Nigeria. The Commission has applied for its certified true copy in order to make an informed decision on the matter. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja had earlier declared the power of the Commission to impose fines on broadcasting stations as inconsistent with Section 6 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. The court held that the Commission cannot be the accuser and the judge in its own case. Under the Nigerian law, the Commission has the right to appeal in this matter up to the Supreme Court. Now, a conference organized for Voice of America major partners from West, East and Southern Africa is underway in Kenya, hosted by the United States Agency for Global Media and VOA team with the theme Surviving and Thriving in a Post-Pandemic Era. The conference has been attended by about 50 delegates from 17 countries, including the General Manager of NTA International, Ogaya Simon, and other United States Agency for Global Media affiliates across Africa. It will afford the teams the opportunity to make presentations on how to build activities to serve as icebreakers. Key speakers are USGM's CEO, Amanda Bennett, who was the former director of VOA. Others include Ashok Nambudiri, Gaurav Bahivani, and Somnath Malaka. The program will also include a presentation from IPSOS, Global Lead and Market Research, presentations on media and entertainment imperatives in a new post-COVID era, co-production trends as well as emerging opportunities, business of sports as an exciting new genre to explore. The conference is scheduled for 11th to 14th of May 2023. Advocacy for the reformation of pre-trial detention in Nigeria is underway in Abuja. Some major key players in the justice system are of the view that bold steps should be taken to enhance dispensation of justice. Delia Tumbi of our Judiciary Desk reports.
Pre-trial detention is a process in which a defendant in an alleged matter is kept in either the police or correctional custody pending police investigation or the determination of the matter by a court of competent jurisdiction. This, no doubt, is a challenge to the justice system, not only in Nigeria, but a universal one. Available statistics have shown that over 75% of defendants in the custody are pre-trial detainees. Experts say the development has led to the congestion of the custodial centers across the country.
What we have seen with the RPDN is to show that it's doable, that systems can be impacted upon, and changes that are unprecedented can be recorded once all hands are put together.
Pre-trial detention issues, it's universal. But I hope we could all agree that a fundamental principle of any democratic society, like those of Nigeria and the United States, is not just rule of law, but that there must be a functioning justice system.
It is in the light of these that key players in the justice system are canvassing quick dispensation of both civil and criminal justice in the country. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
You're watching the network news on NTA. When we return, update on Sudan crisis and human rights cases. To stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. More testimonies continue to come up in the alleged illegal abortion and human rights abuses against the Nigerian armed forces in the ongoing Operation Hadinkai in the northeast. Ominka Amarachuku reports that Chief of Defense Staff General Lucky Rabo was among both serving and non-serving generals that testified before the panel.
December 2022 and April 2023, an online international medium alleged that the Nigerian army was operating illegal abortion and other forms of human rights abuses in the northeast region. These allegations prompted the setting up of this investigative panel to assess the level of human rights abuses. Testifying before the panel, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, described all allegations as false and fabrications deliberately targeted at tarnishing the image of Nigerian military.
I'm saying that it does not exist with respect to members of the armed forces. And if there was any realm of possibility, there's no way the standing commercial that we have in the military couldn't have had a case of that nature. That this soldier or this officer is being arraigned before this commercial for an offense similar to that.
The Nigerian army also called on the panel to inquire from the media organization to bring forward those it allegedly interviewed, massive forced abortions, and the massacre of innocent children by the Nigerian military during the operations in the northeastern part of Nigeria. In Abuja, Umeka Machuku, NTA News.
To the Sudan crisis, warring parties in the North African country have signed a preliminary agreement in the Saudi port city of Jeddah to protect civilians and ensure humanitarian assistance. Adebola Brookston Sunday brings us details.
The agreement signed by representatives of the Sudanese Armed Forces and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces is not a ceasefire, but a declaration of commitment to protect civilians of Sudan, agreeing to allow all civilians to leave the besieged areas in the declaration.
Today's agreement is the result of your true will to spare our brotherly Sudanese people from bearing the consequences of the ongoing military conflict. This agreement will allow securing basic and essential humanitarian aid to the affected people.
The agreement affirmed Sudan's sovereignty and unity and also welcomed the mediation efforts by other countries. The two sides are committed to work towards a short-term ceasefire and schedule subsequent expanded discussions to achieve a permanent cessation of hostilities. They also stressed that the declaration will not affect any legal, security, or political status of the parties signing it, nor will it be linked to participation in any political process.
This is the first time that we have a mutual declaration on something, which is not a ceasefire, but a mutual signed declaration of the two warring parties on respecting international humanitarian law and international human rights law.
The two parties began talks on Saturday in Jeddah over a possible ceasefire to facilitate emergency humanitarian assistance to the conflict-ravaged country. Adebola Brookston Sunday, NTA News.
Well, in other news, no fewer than 7 children have been confirmed dead following a boat mishap in Gusau River, Zamfara State. Jamilu Ibrahim tells us more.
The unfortunate incident occurred at Tulukaya axis of the Gusau River when a boat with more than 20 passengers on board capsized. No fewer than 7 corpses have been evacuated by Good Samaritans while the search for more victims continues. The victims, mostly teenagers, were said to be on their way to fetch water at a nearby place when the boat capsized. Some of the residents who expressed shock and concern over the unfortunate incident appealed to the relevant authority to, as a matter of urgency, find a lasting solution to the persistent water scarcity in Gusau and environs, which forces people, especially children, to cross the river in search of water.
So we need the assistance of government to help us to get water in this area.
And we are
asking them to please to come and construct a bridge for us, so that our younger sister can pass easily to carry the water.
In the meantime, Zamfara State Police Command has in a statement confirmed the deaths of 7 children, comprising 3 boys and 4 girls, as a result of the boat mishap, saying the corpses of the victims have already been released to their parents for burial. The police, however, advised parents and guardians, particularly those living in the riverine areas, to closely monitor the movement of their children, especially as the rainy season sets in. Meanwhile, Zamfara State Water Board says efforts are being intensified to bring a lasting solution to the persistent scarcity of potable water in Gusau and environs.
Power shortage, it is the problem that has added to what we are facing.
Similar boat mishap at the same axis of the Gusau River claimed 4 children in March this year who are also said to be on their way to fetch water for their parents. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
The Group Chief Executive Officer, GCEO, Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, has backed the Michael Imodo National Institute for Labour Studies Fellowship for his steadfast contributions towards labour's welfare as well as decent working environment. The fellowship award was presented to the GCEO by the Director General, Chief Executive Officer, Michael Imodo National Institute for Labour Studies, Issa Aremo, during the Institute's 40th anniversary held in Ilorin recently. It would be recalled that Kyari managed the advent of Petroleum Industry Act in the oil and gas industry of the company through creation of labor-friendly initiatives that prevented job loss, which to a commendable extent endeared him to many of the company's staff, the in-house labor unions and the entire oil and gas industry. Commenting on the award, UNICEF applauded the Institute for the recognition, adding that Michael Imodo National Institute for Labour Studies has excelled through qualitative labour education in Nigeria and West Africa by extension. The GCEO applauded the Institute for contributions to instilling knowledge that drives competence, excellence, and high maintenance of ethical standards. The extent of development of any nation is conversely dependent on the degree of value placed on technological expertise and manpower. The reverse will be the case when experts are being attacked and killed by enemies of Nigeria. President of the Nigerian Society of Engineers said this at an emergency council meeting of the council. Let's get details from Adebola Brixton Sunday.
Addressing newsmen in Abuja at the emergency meeting of the Council of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Tasiu Sahad Gidari Wudil said the meeting is necessary as the murder of Nigerian engineers are too many to condone.
The most recent of such a case is the report of the killing of Engineer Donatus Ofogwikem Ude, MNSE.
The president said a letter of possible withdrawal of members' services nationwide has been forwarded to President Muhammadu Buhari.
Calling on the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to wade into the matter. We ask that he specifically direct the Inspector General of Police to carry out special investigation on the abduction and killing of Engineer Donatus Ude, and to also reopen the case of the 5 engineers of Nelan Engineering Consulting Limited, which happened in Ebonyi State in 2021.
Despite being the targets, he said engineers are ready to be part of the solution. President of the council says at present the life of one of its executive committee members is under threat just because she is supervising a project in Ebonyi State. Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
Let's shift attention to revenue generation. The Federal Capital Territory Internal Revenue Service is taking further steps to ensure that all revenues from the territory is properly accounted for through creation of a single unified platform and dashboard that would enable proper monitoring of revenue generated. This was at a 2-day stakeholders resolution retreat on harmonization of revenue and ease of doing business in the FCT held in Akure, Ondo State Capital. Abiola Areyo reports.
And dynamism of the FCT attracts people and businesses from all walks of life, as it is the seat of power in Nigeria. as a budding center of commerce and trade, as well as a hub for innovation and creativity. The FCT IRS Stakeholders Resolution Retreat brought together a broad spectrum of stakeholders to rub minds on how best to ensure the Federal Capital Territory attains the highest IGR generating subnational status in the country.
This is the concluding part of this harmonization process in the FCT, and hopefully you'll see a remarkable difference in the way people are doing businesses, how revenues are collected, and with this we hope to see significant, almost 50% increase in our revenue in the next 2 years.
FCT Minister Malam Muhammad Musa Bello represented said the FCT administration over the last few years has embarked on some reform programs to encourage the establishment and growth of small and medium enterprises in the nation's capital.
Are not just taking down for administrative issues. They are critical component of our efforts to create a more inclusive and sustainable capital territory for all.
Ondo State Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, who was represented, said revenue generation is critical to sustainability of socio-economic development in any society. It is the view of stakeholders that the two-day resolution retreat will have positive impact and make significant progress in revenue generation and business promotion drive in the FCT. In Akure, Abiola Rio, NTA.
To housing, the federal government says it will continue to provide more affordable houses to low and medium income earners across the country. Managing Director, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Madu Maman, said this at the inauguration of 257 housing units in Daura, Katsina states.
The 257 houses were built at different locations in Katsina State by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria under its ministerial pilot housing scheme. 80 houses were built in Daura, 69 in Funtua, while Kankia and Malufashi have 54 houses in.
The National Housing Fund Scheme, which is being managed by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, is aimed at pulling funds together for the purpose of reducing the housing deficit and increasing housing stock and creating mortgages for the low to income earners in Nigeria.
Katsina State Governor Aminu Bello Masari commended the Buhari administration and other developing partners for providing affordable accommodation to Nigerians of different strata. 45-year-old Ibrahim Abubakar expressed joy.
I even imagine when will I have such opportunity? And it was just recently my union called us that there is a provision for the loan of house.
Ibrahim and his likes are optimistic that building similar housing units across the nation will no doubt reduce the problem of accommodation to the low-income earners.
The High Court of the FCT has assumed jurisdiction in the suit filed by some aggrieved members of the Labour Party against the suspended National Chairman Julius Abure and 3 others. The presiding judge, Justice Muazu Hamza, affirmed this while ruling on the preliminary objection filed by the suspended National Chairman Julius Abure and the National Secretary Farouk, challenging the jurisdiction of the court to entertain the matter. The trial court, in its earlier ruling, restrained Julius Abure, Farouk Ibrahim, Oluchi Opara and Clement Ojoko from parading themselves as leaders of the Labour Party pending the hearing of a suit seeking their sack over alleged allegations of fraud bordering on alleged forgery, court documents including receipts and seal of the High Court of the FCT, which they had allegedly used in the substitution of LP's candidates in the 2023 general elections. Justice Muazu Hamza, while delivering ruling on the application, held that the court has jurisdiction to hear the matter, pointing out that the plaintiffs were right to have brought the originating summons before the court, adding that the matter is justifiable to be heard. The case has been adjourned to May 17, 2023 for hearing on the substantive suits. And President Muhammad Buhari has commended former head of state General Yakubu Gowon for the wisdom of setting up the National Youth Service Corps in 1973, which he said has truly achieved the goal of national integration by providing opportunities for cross-cultural interactions and establishing a bridge for improved understanding. Marking the Corps at 50, the President in a statement noted that the 50 years initiative has strengthened a web of solidarity, created a better understanding of various individuals and ethnic identities which must be sustained. President Buhari also commended the Nigerian Army Director General of the NYSC and various private and public institutions for providing enabling environment for the success of the scheme. Similarly, President Muhammad Buhari shares in the joy of the occasion as Governor Ademola Nuruddin Adeleke of Osun State celebrates his 63rd birthday on May 13. In a congratulatory message, the President says he believes that Adeleke's easy-going outlook on life has turned into an asset. He urges the Osun State Governor to place interest of the state and welfare of the people above all and seek God's guidance to deliver on his mandate. The President prays that the Almighty God will grant the celebrant strength, wisdom and courage to serve his people and the nation. Time now to head to Lagos, where Adeola is standing by. Hello, Adeola.
Elizabeth. With the rainy season almost in full swing, flood waters have started gathering in some areas of Lagos. Disaster management experts are advocating precautionary measures before, during and after the season to avert hazards and disasters. Larry Bilay reports.
Rains have begun to pour in Lagos and flash floods have started to cover roads in the mega city. For most residents, clogging of the drainage channels with waste is one of the reasons why flood waters inundated the state when it rains.
If we keep the gutter, the drainage in a proper, we clean it all the time, we don't allow any dirt to stay there, definitely water will be able to flow.
Government has to enforce. If you leave it to the individuals to do it, is going to create problem because there's no enforcement. People in the LCDs can do it.
Although the government has the lion's share of precautionary measures to mitigate floods, experience from previous rainy seasons are reminders that residents themselves need to take steps to prevent ugly, dreaded and unwelcome consequences of flash floods that come with rainfall.
I have with me here Mr. Ibrahim, who is the state coordinator of the NEMA, National Emergency Management Agency. Mr. Ibrahim, in Lagos here, you've gone round, you've seen some things happening, especially the floods. From the people, from the government, Lagos State, federal government, what should be done?
Well, number one of the strategy is empowering the people. Are they aware of the danger coming or the risk coming? Then if they are aware, what can they do to prevent the risk from developing to disaster? Then if the disaster cannot be prevented, how do you mitigate such events so that the impact will be minimal?
With climate change presenting extreme and often unpredictable weather events, environmentalists are advising that a state like Lagos that is prone to coastal and urban flooding needs to have an effective and strategic flood management plan. In Lagos, Larry Bilay, NTA News.
That's all from the Center of Excellence. Do not forget that you can still follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on the screen for updates. The network news continues with Elizabeth in Abuja when we return from this break. To stay.
Thanks for staying with the NTA. Now for some business reports, let's join our busy businessman, Benny Adams. Benny?
Thank you, Elizabeth, and welcome to business.
The Federal Executive Council has approved an operation and management concession for 360 megawatts Gurara 2 multipurpose dam and hydropower plant, as well as 40 megawatts Kashimbila hydropower plant under a public-private partnership model. A statement signed by acting head of media of ICRC, Ifeanyi Nwoko, says the approvals by FEC is expected to bring about generation of 400 megawatts of electricity infusion of the private sector funds into the nation's economy and infrastructure development, as well as a total revenue generation of 647.1 billion naira. While the 360 megawatts Gurara 2 HPP is a greenfield project that will adopt a build, operation, maintenance, and transfer PPP model to be executed for a concession period of 30 years. The dam, hydropower plant, and other complementary infrastructure will be executed within a concession period of 30 years and an expected total revenue generation of $875 million within the period. The projects are expected to bring about improved living conditions and employment, promotion of agriculture through irrigation, reduction of greenhouse gases, as well as foreign exchange preservation. And our European stocks close higher just as Asia markets trade mix after U.S. inflation shows more signs of easing. Nekaoko has more on the markets.
In mainland China, the Shanghai Composite fell 1.12% and closed at 3,272.36. European stock markets were higher in early trading despite a bearish week so far, as investors assess the state of play across first quarter earnings and economic data. The DAX in Germany was up 0.49%, UK's FTSE rose 0.29%, and the French CAC topped 0.84%. US stock futures advanced in early trading as regional banks rebounded and traders tried to end a volatile week on a high note. The Dow Jones Industrial Average Futures and S&P 500 both rose 0.39%. African stocks traded in opposite directions this Friday. South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40, Namibia's overall index, and Ghana's GSE Composite were stocks in green, while Tunisia's Stone Index and Kenya's Nairobi Oil Share pointed downwards.
The market appreciated marginally by 0.10% to end the last weekday of trading on the exchange. A total of 1.417 billion shares and 5,527 deals, corresponding to a market value of 10.9 billion, were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, Thursday, today's data shows 197% improvement in volume and 110% improvement in turnover. The current market capitalization is 28.4 trillion naira. Fidelity Bank recorded the highest volume of shares, followed by Access Holdings and FBN Holdings. That is Business News. Network News continues with Elizabeth. It's nice doing business with you.
Always, Benny. 12th of May every year is a Global Awareness Day dedicated as International Nurses Day. The global community is in this year's commemoration to pay tribute to nurses' selfless service and to advocate the need to protect, support and invest in the profession to strengthen health systems across the world. Oluseyi Adiago brings us details of how Nigerian nurses take pride in practicing in today's healthcare environment.
Observed since 1965, International Nurses Day celebrates the contributions of nurses to society. It is fixed for every 12th of May, the birthday of Florence Nightingale, the founder of modern nurses. Back home, Nurse Kobe Ono and Akantipat Oke Oyindamola have both been practicing for more than 10 years. To these nurses, relieving pain, providing comfort and saving lives is something to be proud of, and we take joy in the profession that makes a difference in people's lives.
It's a good thing to really celebrate nurses. Our main job is caring for the patients. As a nurse, we have that opportunity to care for the mind, the soul, the body, because nurses, we are always there at the beginning of life. And also, we are always the last person standing at the points of death.
Some days you feel bad, especially when you're not able to save a patient, and then some days are good when, after all the hard work you've done, you're able to bring somebody back to life.
For a profession generally ascribed to females, the males who find themselves in nursing go the whole hog. The current national president, National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, Michael Nachi, is a nurse educator with about 15 years experience.
I'm happy to be a nurse. I'm happy to touch the life of others.
Michael Nachi also speaks on the challenges facing the nursing profession in Nigeria.
Because of conditions of service, some of the nurses are leaving Nigeria to areas of greener pasture, where they are recognized, properly remunerated.
Nurse Oke Oyindamola and these older nurses are hoping that this global celebration and other engagements will help the nursing profession in Nigeria take its rightful place. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
Thank you, Sheye, for that report. Another break beckons. Let's take it. Up next is Sports Update with Gift George.
Strong in the second half, we were able to score one. We got some clear chances as well, but at the end of the day, we couldn't do anything with it.
In basketball, Ghana will host Nigeria and 5 other countries in Zone 3 of the FIBA Under-16 Africa Basketball Championship qualifiers for men and women in June. The games will be played in the city of Accra from 19th to 24th. The winners in both categories will advance to the final round of the 2023 FIBA Africa Under-16 Basketball Championship, slated for Tunisia from July 13 to 23. Participating teams are Benin Republic, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Niger, Nigeria, Togo, and host Ghana. In combat sports, the 2023 season of the African Knockout Championship in mixed martial arts has begun in Lagos with some pre-event activities created by Nigerian Nightmare Kamaru Usman. The championship attracted 32 fighters from across Africa, with Nigerian fighters set to create records.
We have all the stuff, and when we have all the stuff, what else do you expect? You understand? You expect them to do well.
We have a lot of talents in Africa that we are trying to find and showcase in our promotion.
The Sports Update, Gift George, NTA News.
Former Senate President Ken Namani says his late wife Jane Namani died from complications of diabetes and not liposuction, as reported in some sections of the media. Charles Alpha reports.
Namani died on the 4th of this month, while her husband, former Senate President of the 5th Assembly, Ken Namani, was away in Germany. Reports on some social media platforms said she died while carrying out a liposuction surgery and that her husband had a stroke after learning of her death. A report Ken Namani said was false.
I thank God that I'm in good health today. But about my wife, any person who has seen my wife who cannot associate her with what they call it, tummy talk
or liposuction.
Lipoma is an ordinary collection of fat around the body. And removal of it could be complicated, but because of the diabetic problem, I'm not a medical medicine, but it had to do with diabetes.
The former Senate President condemns the report circulating, saying some media practitioners and social media handlers are debasing the concept of disseminating the right information to the public.
Social media are responsible enough in what they report. Even if you have a political anger over somebody, it has a limit. Don't mislead the public. No man had stroke, had what? So any person can suffer stroke, but not one is healthy enough. I went for my medical checkups, everything is fine.
Charles Alpha, NTA News.
And that's the news. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Elizabeth Mori.